Ezra Miller might as well just come be a guest on our show because we've talked about him so much, especially in 2022 at the height of some of his controversies. We also reviewed The Flash when that came out in 2023. Since then, he's been kind of MIA in Hollywood, but it appears he's trying to make some sort of a comeback. He attended the Cannes Film Festival, and just over the weekend, he was on the red carpet at the Filming Italy event. Wearing a dress and a crocheted watermelon hair clip, which I assume is a reference to Palestine, watermelon country. And he's got his hair just flowing freely, and his chest hair is fully on display. He looks, just about as weird as you would expect. Before we move into his recent comments, want to get into a timeline of his controversies because it's almost never ending, and this is not an exhaustive list.
No.
In April 2020, Ezra Miller was caught on video appearing to choke a woman at a bar in Reykjavik, Iceland. The woman involved recounted the incident, describing that it escalated from fun and games to being chokeslammed by Ezra Miller.
Yeah, and throwing anything not nailed down at women.
Then in March 2022, Ezra Miller was arrested in Hawaii for disorderly conduct and harassment at a karaoke bar. They're referring to him with they them pronouns because he identifies as non-binary. They pleaded no contest to the charges and paid a fine. Miller reportedly became agitated when patrons began singing a karaoke rendition of Shallow from A Star Is Born, leading them to yelling obscenities and lunging at a man playing darts.
In my mind, he auditioned for that movie, didn't get it, and got really pissed.
It was bringing up some bad memories. And then in April 2022, he was arrested a second time in Hawaii for second-degree assault after throwing a chair at a woman in a bar, causing a half-inch gash on her forehead. In January of that same year, a video surfaced where Ezra Miller told members of the North Carolina chapter of the KKK to K themselves with their own guns, or else, quote, "we'll do it for you if that's what you want." In June 2023, it was reported that Ezra Miller had been manipulating and controlling a teenager who goes by Gibson, the daughter of an attorney and activist named Chase Iron Eyes and his wife, Sarah Jumping Eagle. Since the year 2016, he met this girl when she was 12, and they embarked on a friendship because she was a fan of his. Lots of different rumors involving drug use, sleeping in the same bed, weird stuff. Definitely seemed predatory. And then August 22, he issued a public apology for past behavior, acknowledging that he was suffering from complex mental health issues, and he expressed a commitment to addressing these issues and returning to a healthy, safe, and productive stage in life. This is not even scratching the surface, though. There's so much more we could get into, but it's not really worth our time right now. He went to the Filming Italy appearance in Cannes, and he did an interview with the press there about his return to Hollywood and why he's at this event anyway. He's not promoting any particular project that he's in.
Yeah, I assumed when I first saw the clip, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
is he in a movie? But he wasn't. Like, he plans to work with a director who was there and,
Yes.
and is going to be making a movie, which he and this director are both going to write.
He was essentially showing up as a +1 to this director named Lynn Ramsey.
It's also interesting how in both of the articles that I read regarding this topic, not just the video, they acknowledge that his behavior has been criminal and weird at least, right? At the very least, weird, if not criminal, but they're still going by the pronouns, which disassociates you from the entirety of the language, and it's a whole thing.
He was even outwardly using his identity as non-binary to try to get out of criminal
when
charges.
the cops arrested him
During an arrest video, he was literally saying, like, you can't do this to me, I'm non-binary, transgender, blah blah blah. I think he was demanding a female officer arrest him because of that, which is absolutely insane. But I think we just need to react to this interview because he hasn't seemed to, recover mentally since the height of his controversy.
So let's go ahead and watch
last couple
this here.
years.
We say you
By the
can
way,
let
pause.
a web
For those listening rather than watching, he's wearing an ascot and also a t-shirt that says Free Winona, which is actually a reference to Winona Ryder's shoplifting scandal in the early 2000s.
All right, here we go.
currently stand in your relationship with the cinema now?
Tentative. I'd say on tentative grounds. I came to Cannes to support one of my closest friends in the world, who's Lynn Ramsey, who I think is one of the greatest living filmmakers. I'm working with her again. That will likely be the first thing I do, is a film that her and I are writing together. I've been writing a lot, because you can do that in solitude, which has been friendly to me. So writing with Lynn, and I came to Cannes because she asked me to come, and if there's anything I really still believe in my life, it's devotion to one's people, to one's loved ones, to one's friends, to one's comrades, above all else. I didn't necessarily want to go to Cannes. I had a bit of a hard time. That's a tough re-entry point. If you've been in the woods for 3 years, I do not recommend going straight to Cannes, where every photographer and every weirdo, every rich genocidal freak be there. You know what I mean? Like, it's not an easy re-entry. But yeah, I did that for Lynn. I would do anything for Lynn. You know what I mean? This is the stuff I can still know and keep a track on. Is like, I ride for my friends. That's always been true of me.
Pretty
it always will be
ironic
true
for
me.
Ezra Miller to call anyone else a weirdo.
Her, it's the right moment
Yeah.
and the right person.
Yeah, thank you. I think so too. I believe in her more than the rest of it, really.
What do you like?
Is that when we go through those crucibles, if we can survive, which was up in the air for me, if I'm
How
being
old is Ezra Miller? He's graying already.
I think that he's in his late 20s. Let me check.
real, we then have that capacity
Oh no, he's 32.
to see other people in their crucibles and just to reach towards them. And I think that grows more and more rarefied in our world too, like the capacity to do that, the desire to do that, the willingness to do that. We've become very consumed in notions of perception, self-perception, how we're perceived in the world. I really believe in digging past that and being a friend to people. And the people who did that for me they have my lifelong devotion, And also I'm grateful for the revelations of who was not that. You really, when you work in this industry, you will find yourself in deep, deep relation with a lot of people who do not give a single fuck about you or your well-being at all. And so
I feel like one of the things that they really get hung up on there is they really get upset by the idea that people aren't going to care about them 100% all the time, which is just a fact of life.
Yeah, even Johnny Depp doesn't entirely blame all of the people who disassociated from him during his Hollywood boycott, you know? But
Like-
Ezra Miller, after repeated criminal action, expects people to be his day one, like, ride or die. It's,
not that I don't hold
quite
a lot
entitled.
of remorse and lamentation for a lot of things that I did
My lamentation.
and for a lot of things that happened in that time. But I'm really, really grateful for the lessons that came with that abyss.
Do you
Artistic regrets? No, I think I eschew the concept. I don't really. I'll be honest. Probably the reason why I don't is I don't really think about it. Like, the process is for me where the magic is. The work is for other people's judgment. For me, it's not my job. It's not my job to figure out whether an expression I was involved in is good or bad or how it compares to other expressions. Or that's y'all's business. You know what I mean? So in that way, I think I've avoided that. Which is Sounds like a real meat hook.
You said that. You're like, what does that mean?
Sounds like a real meat hook. I have no idea what that means.
I agree with him on the last part. Like,
they might have been asking in a roundabout way if he regrets being the star of The Flash in the DC.
Like, it's the least thing he has to worry about.
That's the least of his worries by far. Yeah. I don't see him having mainstream success. He was definitely poised for it at one moment in his career, but he torched that.
Yeah, I mean,
quite definitively.
He's kind of past the point of being able to be salvageable on a large scale. Not to say that he won't get work. Like a lot of these people in these positions, they'll always get work.
Art house.
He'll make enough money, and I'm sure he's made more than enough money. They talk about that in the interview. That he's a rich millionaire. I'm sure he was paid very well for the big roles that he did have, and as long as he doesn't waste it all on, I guess, drugs and guns.
I mean, yeah, he might actually have wasted a lot of his fortune on those types of things.
Yeah.
But I think he seems like someone extremely self-absorbed, and also like he has fried his brain with drugs. Like he has no idea how he comes off to people anymore.
I find that shocking.
Like, look at this guy, okay? He doesn't have a care in the world. He's in his divine feminine, okay? He doesn't even know that in that interview, people think he comes off like a weirdo, and he feels he is at liberty to call the rest of his industry weirdos.
Okay, so that was the other thing
Broken
that
clock moment.
I found very interesting is he talked about the genocidal freaks of his industry, which is an interesting thing to admit that you are okay with being a part of. Like, they exist, but you're just existing within that sphere.
Well, he's like, I'm on the periphery. I'm not like the other Hollywood weirdos. I'm different.
Yeah.
I'm above it all.
I don't know.
I only care about the art.
Like, I don't know who he's talking about when he says genocidal freaks. Like, is that just
could be referring to Palestine. I'm sure that he's a free Palestine dude, and there are a lot of Jew Zionists in Hollywood who feel completely the opposite way about that issue. So maybe that's what he was referring to. I don't know.
Perhaps so, and that was just his cloaked way of saying it. He also brought up tentative return to Hollywood, and talked about because YouTube and AI are killing all those jobs. Like, what he needs to do is he would be a hilarious YouTube vlogger.
He needs to get on Cameo.
He needs a YouTube vlogging channel, and it has to be low tech, not Will Smith with like all the high production quality. He needs to take like an iPhone 6 and start vlogging his day on his weed farm firing guns.
He literally is the libertarian fantasy.
He kind of is in a weird way. So I'm gonna need him to do that. If he's going to start creating content.
He could do like get ready with me vlogs, and it doesn't consist of showering.
Yeah.
He just rolls out of bed.
Don't get ready with me because I'm already ready.
Throws on a dress and expects us to call him ma'am.
Yeah, I'm assuming all his court cases are done pending, and that he's gotten off scot-free, as I assumed.
We never really followed up on any of it because it fizzled out quickly after The Flash came out. And
well, I think it was the grooming allegations that really did that movie in. Like there is a fine line in Hollywood where they're like, he threw a chair. Like a month later, they're like, was it at a woman or a guy? I don't know. And then he's just eccentric.
If it were just the non-binary stuff and just the violent altercations in Hawaii moment, that would be one thing. They'd probably overlook it, but the rest of it was related to children.
It was Dakota Iron Eyes?
Dakota Iron Eyes, who now identifies as Gibson,
okay.
Which I think is probably due to Ezra Miller's influence, and that is a known fetish that some men have, defeminization, like that seemed like a very obvious case to me. And they clearly had an inappropriate friendship. There's no such thing as a friendship between an adult and a 12-year-old who, by the way, met because one of them is a fan who idolizes the adult. That's insane.
Yeah, even Drake can't say that it was because Millie Bobby Brown was just a fan of
They said like that her parents were like, she ran off with this guy. He encouraged her to drop out of school. It was very disturbing.
Yeah. So that is Ezra's planned comeback. And remember last week when Ryan Coogler said that women are the better directors. It looks like Ezra Miller agrees and said that this woman that he's making a
Lynn
movie with is
Ramsey.
the best director there is.
Never heard of her.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.